So I'd like to begin by having our first presenter, who, like myself, has the responsibility to provide as much efforts as possible to provide water for the west side of this valley. A person who's been a tremendous leader in the water community over the years, who every day we are working on a host of both short-term and interim solutions to bring more water to our valley. And that is the District General Manager for the Westlands Irrigation District, Tom Birmingham. Tom?
Thank you. To the people that are sitting at this table up here, I would like to observe that the public that is in attendance here at this meeting today, the people in this room, are angry and they're frustrated. They're angry because they are seeing their livelihoods, whether they are involved directly in irrigated agriculture or not, they are seeing their livelihoods vanish. There are elected officials here from small communities, mayors and members of city councils that are experiencing unbelievable levels of unemployment, and they're having to provide social services that are well beyond the means of any community in the state of California. And to them, they simply don't understand how these things could be happening. The frustration that is felt by the people in this room derives from the fact that despite everything that we have done for the protection of fish in the Delta and fish that rely on the Delta, despite the hundreds of millions of dollars that we have spent since 1992, and the millions of acre-feet of water that have been dedicated to the protection of these fish, those actions have done absolutely no good. Despite the fact that the two projects since 2007 have lost in excess of 1.2 million acre-feet of water under the new protections that were developed for the Delta smelt. Today, the Delta smelt abundance is lower than it has been at any time since we began to keep records. And so the people in this room are frustrated because, and I don't think that anyone could say it better than Todd Allen said it recently in a 60 Minutes interview. I don't know if Todd is here today, but he said it better than anyone could say it. He and his family and the people that he employs and the people that live in the communities on the west side of the San Joaquin Valley are being punished. And they're being punished despite the fact that they have done nothing wrong. And so the anger and the frustration that is palpable is a product of an experience where we have lost millions of acre-feet. We have followed hundreds of thousands of acres of some of the most highly productive farm ground in the world. We have people who are standing in food lines, getting to the front of the food lines to be told, we're sorry, we've run out of food. For the protection of fish, which seem to be doing absolutely no good. Now, for the people in the room, I work with these people every single day. And I want to share with you the reality that the perception that these people don't understand the crisis that we're dealing with is absolutely wrong. I get calls from Jim Costa, Dennis Cardoza, at least once a week, frequently more than that, asking what else can we be doing. And Mr. Cardoza talked about the Valley delegation. We are very fortunate that we have a Valley delegation for whom this is the #1 priority. But despite what you might have heard, for these gentlemen, this is their #1 priority. And I say that because I think you have a right to know that. They are asking every day, what else can we do? Both in terms of putting pressure on the federal administration, what can we do in terms of enacting legislation, what can we do in terms of going to the state government to seek assistance. I have calls virtually every day with the director of the Department of Water Resources. And he wants to know what else can the state be doing to address the catastrophe, the disaster that exists on the west side of the San Joaquin Valley. Don Glazier, who's not here today, I wish he were, but he has told me and Dan Nelson, the executive director of the San Luis Delta Mendota Water Authority, multiple times, if I am not doing my job, I want you to come tell me because I will resign. Now, there are lots of people who would react negatively to that statement, saying, well, the contractors shouldn't have that kind of influence. But that's how serious Don Glazier, who is the regional director of the Bureau of Reclamation, takes this. He has said, if I'm not doing what I can do to address this crisis, you need to let me know. If I'm not the right man for this job, you need to let me know. I'll be happy to step aside. And the same is true for Ron Milligan. I mean, you could not have a better friend than Ron Milligan, who is the manager of project operations. The circumstances that we're dealing with are awful. I mean, I was asked to spend just a couple of minutes talking about our next year's water supply. Westlands Water District has done an analysis that shows that absent significant flows on the San Joaquin River that will reverse the reverse flow in Old and Middle Rivers. Our water supply next year is likely to be 0 to 10%. And unfortunately, the opportunities that we have to move water from the Sacramento Valley to south of the Delta are going to be minimal. And the reason for that is because of the pumping restrictions that are imposed by the biological opinions. Now, Westlands Water District anticipates that we will reschedule or carry over in San Luis Reservoir approximately 270,000 acre-feet of water. That is 50,000 acre-feet of water less than we carried over from 2008 to 2009. We anticipate that we will acquire approximately 150,000 acre-feet of water through transfers. That's the same amount of water that we acquired through transfers during the 2009 year. Unfortunately, many of those transfers are north of the Delta. And because of the limitations on pumping through the end of June, and the fact that the State Water Project and the Central Valley Project are going to have to rely on the capacity that's available at the Jones Pumping Plant and the Banks Pumping Plant to move project water, the ability to move transfer water is going to be minimal. As an example, we've done an analysis that models the 72-year hydrologic period under the new biological opinions. And we've looked at what our allocations would be in each one of the years since 1976. And we look at a year like 1992 when our allocation was 35%. And under the new biological opinion, our allocation would be 10%. But despite the fact that we're only at 10%, the capacity to move transfer water in a year like 1992 under the existing constraints is very limited. We would only be able to move, both projects combined, would only be able to move 100,000 acre-feet of water. And that 100,000 acre-feet of water in transfers is significantly less than the hundreds of thousands of acre-feet that we have traditionally moved in years in which our water supply was reduced because of hydrology.